Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Goddess Temple Teachings Lammas Symposium. It's great to have you all here with us. And this afternoon, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Karin Persons, who is our esoteric soul healing teacher. So, Karin, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, hello. I am here from Holland, so we're in a different time zone than you are in the UK. I live in Holland. I do not live in Glastonbury, and I fly in every 6 weeks for about a week to be the tutor of esoteric soul healing, and I do that now for a year in Glastonbury, but before I did the soul healing course 2 times with Kathy. So I'm quite used to being over a lot of time in Glastonbury, and I really like to be on both places. I am a priestess educated here in Holland in a priestess school that was called Wild Wise Women, and that does not exist anymore. And since 10 years, I have my own mystery school and do a priestess education. The first time I came to Glastonbury, I think, it was for a Morgan retreat. So in fact, it was the Morgans who really, to me, are the elemental energies and the healing energies of the land of Avalon, who brought me there. And it was for my 50th birthday. I remember that, and I wanted to give myself this kind of present retreat, something nice to do. And this was a four-day thing. And so I met Kathy there, and during that time, I made myself a promise, because it was really a lot of fun, the Morgan retreat, and the ones who followed it in the years before when Kathy did that will know how much fun and depth is in there, and just being with this lovely group of 18 people flying around in our masks and doing all these healing, emotional healing, mental healing, whatever came up, things. So that inspired me to do more training in Glastonbury. But being a priestess teacher myself, it was not like going to a Priestess of Avalon course there. So what I wrote to Kathy during the weeks after the Morgan retreat was, the next course that will come up, whatever it is, I will do it. And it was soul healing. And then really my journey began, because I'm educated as a pharmacochemist.
Wow.
I have a PhD in oncology, radiation biology, and worked in research in a hospital, university hospital, for more than 10 years. And I thought, okay, healing, this is like the placebo effect, maybe something like that. Or maybe it is something like what we call psychoneuroimmunology. It's that kind of thing. And I really wanted to prove myself that it could not work. So I was really skeptical, and I came into this huge circle with 18 men and women from all over Europe. And they were all like psychotherapists, psychologists, healers, having practices. And I felt like the odd one out, being, this is not working. I'm quite sure this is not working. And yeah, it blew my mind away, all my resistance in it. In every time I did my homework because you in soul healing, you start working with patients after the first 3 days already. Can be your family, so I call them patients, the ones you practice on to get experience. and get feedback from them. And I was just so blown away what happened. I just could not, my mind still cannot understand it, but I know deeply and I experience deeply and I embody deeply that when you follow this very, very specific step by step, nearly mathematical way in which Kathy made the Alice Bailey teachings available in this moment of time for people that live now, um, how much you enter into the intimacy with a patient, into the intimacy of the wound, in expression of it, and the power of that vulnerability, being together, being really, really close to another being. Yeah, it's just so beautiful.
It sounds amazing, and so interesting that you came from such a different background into the soul healing course. It must have been it sounds amazing. So can you tell us a bit more about what the soul healing course involves? What?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, and I can. It is really the word intensive that is in there is not just like it. It really is intensive. I teach this course here in Holland in Dutch, and in the UK in English, and all my students really experience how much they are themselves involved, but also their time and their minds and all that. So how it works is that we come together for a 3-day intensive. In there will be a lot of sharing, a lot of exercise, a lot of experiencing on one another in this very safe setting, getting to know ourselves on deeper levels, having this safe container where you learn how to be with the wounds being expressed and the ways people do that, to be able yourself to hold the container for the patients that will come. And then after the 3-day you go home. I have then there's the reading of the chapters of that are connected to the things we did in the 3-day weekend, and then you start practicing on patients. So usually it is 4 that you do in between, and you write reports. You send the reports over to me, and I will each of them comment, give feedback, so that you can integrate, and then we go to the next weekend by preparing the chapters. So you read them first yourself, then we will read them together during the weekend and we practice. And then you will reread them again when you're home. So it's in 3 times, all like the words are there before you practiced and after you have the embodied experience of it. And that's the part of the soul healing training, how Kathy laid it out, what is really so amazing. So whatever type of student you are yourself, if you're really someone who likes to listen to the knowledge, to the wisdom, or want to experience in your own body, or you like to read, it can all be, it is all interwoven in the teachings. And I never had myself a course like that I followed, that was laid out in such a profound way, in learning something. So
Mm.
that's what we do. And then halfway, and that's kind of the UK students just finished it, halfway is a practical exam. So what I did in June was that we really brought in people that they didn't know
Mm.
to have their practical test, to give them a healing, being watched by me and by the two lovelies that assist me in Goddess Hall. And you write an essay about all your experiences. So it's really, really intense in the way that you need time in between the weekends to practice, to write, to integrate feedback, but also a bit further on in the course to really look at your own wounds, because they will appear, they will be touched, and that's where your gift is as a healer, by knowing thyself. And
Mm.
so that's also part of the course. The wounded healer will come out to experience his or her real healing powers.
Yeah, it sounds really profound. And I was lucky enough, I had surgery on my back over 20 years ago now, and I had one of Kathy's students, soul healing students, and I was their case study. And I had healing before I went into hospital for the operation. And the healer, he came to the hospital when I was there, and also when I got home. And the surgeon was really profoundly struck by how I was compared to some other women that had had the same operation on the same day, but they hadn't had the soul healing, and how much more grounded and centered and well I was, and not in pain. So yes, it was a really deep experience as a patient having the soul healing. I absolutely loved it.
What a
Yeah.
wonderful story. Yeah. So in soul healing, we see our body and dis-ease as something that comes in from the mental, from thoughts, from all that is mind and mental concepts and thought forms around us, into the emotional,
Mm.
into the etheric and the physical. And then there is what we call in normal day life a dis-ease. And so it's very important to go and have all your normal treatments, and there is attached emotional wounding, mental concepts, patterning, what maybe needs to change, and what all came down into the body. So that's the way we work with dis-ease, and we look at disease. And you will learn in the course all about all the different organs and systems in your body, and how they are attached to certain chakras. So how you can look at it, analyze it energetically, hormonally,
Mm.
physically, and emotionally as well. And so it's lots to learn, lots to experience, and also really it's a heartfelt circle. The two circles that are there at the moment. People get so much intimate with one another in knowing there's I live in a rural part, so the big machines past my house. So much in they're witness each other's expression of what comes up during the 9 months of the course, and that's a huge binding and connection and interweaving. And oh, I love that so much. It's just great to be able to be part of it myself each time. And I sometimes joke that why does this happen to me, that I'm doing this course time after time after time? I must be the one who needs the most healing of them all, so that I'm in it all the time, and I'll just love it. It's great. Yeah. So from being the most skeptical, I'm sitting now here as a tutor of this course. Life is a strange thing.
Yeah, what a wonderful journey that you've taken. So if someone was thinking about becoming a soul healer and they had never done anything like that before, do you have any advice for them?
Well, that's a good question, Lisa. No, and not really like an advice in that way. But when you're thinking about healing and becoming a healer yourself, it is important to really in depth feel into yourself, where the longing comes from, and where your wounds are, and that's maybe not so nice a word, wounds, but that the huge gifts that are in there. And if you are in a part of your life, in your work, in your family, in your friends, where you are ready to open up to that part of yourself and to start expressing it, and start well, in this Lammas time, harvesting really what is in there. And also I would like to just have like a 10-minute chat with everyone who applies to really check if this is the good course for them, if I'm the right tutor for them, if their expectations match what we do in the course. So even after an application, there is this like 10-15 minute, no, let's call it an intake, but it's nothing like that. It's just a chat like we have now.
Yes.
to really, yeah, to get this human level in is this yeah, what is good, what is meant, yeah, and do the Q&A if people have questions.
Yes.
And mostly they have loads of questions, but I know, you know, it's not, it's called soul healing, as in it is in the soul, in your deep core. This, most people will say something like, I feel when I enter a room, my hands tingle.
Yes.
I knew from very young that there was X or Y or something like that. So I think you just know without any advice
I
from my
love
side.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. So whoever hears the call, answer the call and yeah, come and find out more. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it's skeptical, the call,
Yes, yes,
like I
absolutely.
was.
In some ways, especially if it's skeptical, the call. Absolutely. So can you has there been anyone or anything that has been a really great inspiration to you on your spiritual journey?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's like 3 people, and Kathy is, of course, one of them, was really inspirational to me. Yeah, in this, because I like the embodied way of spirituality, this incarnate journey we make, and I did quite some tantric training with a Swedish woman. She has different names. In the time I trained with her, she was called she's called Charlotte Norel, but then she was called Ramya, because they do that in this kind of tradition. And in this moment, she's called Maria. So all my trainings have been all my spiritual trainings have been very embodied in that way. So she is a huge inspiration to me, as to all our senses, and have all our senses involved in the way we practice and experience our spirituality. Yeah, so she's a huge person as well, next to Kathy, for the healing thing. And Clara Adelena, who was my teacher when I did my priestess training, of course, I want to honor her as well. She was the one in her wave movement medicine, but she did a lot of dancing and body work as well, who really brought in this goddess thing into my life, what really was like a flashlight in the dark, and opened me up, I think, at the end of my 30s, early 40s, to well, another life. I can only say that, another life, which has brought so many gifts to myself, to my family, to my community. When and I think to all of us, we know, when you start expressing goddess in all the authentic individual ways that we do, people are touched, and they open up to a bigger knowing than just the eminent thing of spirituality, and really start opening up to the immanence and also the impermanence of life, and so the beauty of it. And so that, and in that way, and I don't know her personally, but I'm very much inspired at the moment by Maya Luna. She is a spoken word artist, singer, and I like her way of working with Lilith, with impermanence, with sacred rage, with things like that. A lot, but that's in this moment. She's not one of my teachers. She's just a huge inspiration in the moment. Yeah.
Thank you. That was really, really interesting. And we all take such different journeys, don't we, on our spiritual path, and yet we all meet in the middle somewhere. As our paths converge and join. So, being a temple tutor, is there something that you can share with everyone? What do you like most about being a temple tutor?
Oh, I'm so happy you asked that question. Because to me, coming from Holland, and coming just for a week, and then being away for another month, and then coming in, and I don't know if other men, women did that before, but it's such a warm bath. And Lisa, you yourself, you are gold.
Thank you.
In the way you are so practical, and you take care of all the practicalities, and also Dasha. And I just like the communication that is all around us, and the Pearl group we have together with all the tutors. And it's an amazing new layer in my priestessing, in my teaching, to be part of such a group. Because here in Holland, I'm well, there's some priestess training, but I was one of the first who started
Yeah.
here. So I'm by myself, not surrounded by a dedicated group like this, in where we can share on teaching, on ways to teach, on whatever, and especially not like having a godmother like you, who is holding the space and taking care of all the nourishment you need as a teacher um, yourself, and just the practicalities of not being able to bring my own tea, coffee, cookies, little things like that.
Yes.
It's just great. And yeah, and it's also well laid out with all the flyers and the website. And so I'm just
Thank you. That was really kind of you. Thank you. And yeah, for me, I mean, I think supporting the tutors in whatever way is needed for each tutor, and as a community of tutors, is so important, so that you can do the teaching that you do in the way that you do it with the students. So yeah, well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It has been really, really lovely to connect with you here online for our Lammas Symposium. And if anyone has any questions for Karin or for me, you can always pop it into the comments in the Goddess Conversations Facebook group, and we will answer your questions there.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you again this afternoon at 4 p.m.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for all that are here now in the live and who will join on later on in the replay. And I will be in Glastonbury soon for the conference, for doing a workshop on esoteric soul healing as well. So I will be around for a chat if you want to real life with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or whatever. So thank you so much.
Fabulous.
Okay.
I'll see you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye. Bye.